All right, Bulls and Bears, I'm back. BX4, back in the building, back with another dose. Bull to the bust. Let's go ahead and get right into it. It's been a few days. I don't take, what did I take? 2 days off? 3 days off? I don't take 3 days off in a row very often. We had to go out of town. We had a relative that is sick, that's in the hospital. That's pretty major stuff. Bone marrow transplant, kidney dialysis after the surgery complications. So went to LA for that. Was going to do some filming, but then I started catching something. I started feeling bad, so I just decided to just relax as much as possible, take a few days off. It did kind of allow me to clear my head and just kind of think about where we're at in the United States, mostly. I mean, worldwide, yes, but United States is kind of the tip of the spear right now with what's happening and what is happening. Let's go ahead and just take a step back and just kind of broadly explain what's going on, all right? We've had an economy for years. I shouldn't say years, I should say decades. Decades, the economy's been driven by debt and spending. And with the new administration coming in, we're finding out that a lot of the spending was very wasteful, to say the least. And you could take that even a lot farther than the word wasteful, but let's just say wasteful. And things had to change at some point. Now, many speculated that it would be some sort of collapse before changes would have come in. And I've said here on this channel, it's going to get worse before it gets better. To get to the other side where the grass is greener, you have to maybe go up a mountain. It's going to be a steep climb. It's going to be a rough climb. You may not have your backpack full of supplies, and you may not be completely ready, but it's going to get rough. And I'm not fear-mongering. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. And could I be wrong? Absolutely. But things have played out pretty close to what we've been talking about here on this channel. Things are getting crazy right now and about to get even crazier. But back to my point at the beginning here. Something had to change. You can't just keep an economy appearing like it's growing just on continually printing money, handouts, rescue programs for those that fall under the wheel of the cost of living. It works for some people. I should say that. But for most people, and you probably know it's about 70% plus of people that are barely scraping by, living paycheck to paycheck, rent burdened, right? The other 70% are rent burdened. The same 70% pretty much that are living paycheck to paycheck. So you can't just keep finding new ways to get people to borrow more money, down payment assistance programs, right? All the things we talk about here in this channel. Now there's a push for lower interest rates because the administration knows that what they're doing is going to cause a lot. I shouldn't even say volatility. Volatility means things are going to go up and down very wildly. I think it's going to be very severe, and I think you're going to be surprised the direction things head. But it's going to get worse before it gets better. You can't come in and make all these cuts, all the jobs that are being cut right now federally, all the investigation into the spending with all these different agencies. Every agency you can think of is under a microscope right now. Now, could that be the excuse for the economy coming down? Because maybe they know they can no longer kick the can down the road. That's kind of one of the views that I had on this. And let me know what you think. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. I think one of the views that I've had is they're looking for a way to bring the economy down because they know these bubbles have to either pop and be allowed to deflate, or they're going to have to find new ways to keep the bubbles getting bigger. That means more interest rate cuts, more help for everybody trying to buy a home, down payment assistance. And the bubbles, ultimately burst, except for the few countries that we saw where they didn't burst, where we just saw hyperinflation with the system that they had in those countries. Didn't stop. It didn't change. It just kept throwing money, throwing fuel on the fire is what I say, just throwing more money at the problem. Helicopter money, as many have referred to it, many economists and others. And I had to change. So could this be the excuse to bring the economy down? They're going to say, well, we uncovered all this frivolous spending or all this wasteful spending. And again, I could take it further. I'm trying to use safe words here, if you know what I mean. Wasteful spending. We found all this stuff, so we had to change it. And we're already seeing the consequences. I have family members. I was just up in LA, like I was mentioning. I have a family member that works for the Federal Reserve New York. They were in California to visit the sick relative, the same sick relative that I told you that I went to visit. And they're concerned about their job. And it's somebody that just went through a major medical situation themselves. They're worried about losing their job, about losing their health benefits, which is along with their job because they have health benefits through their job. So it's a very scary time for a lot of people. So there's kind of two sides of this thing, right? There's people that are being affected negatively by this. And you might already know someone, like I know someone that's worried about losing their job, or maybe they've lost their job, or maybe they've already gotten a notice that their job is being cut because there's a big effort now to cut spending. Now, I also think that they're going to find new wasteful ways to spend the money just on the other side, and they have their own priorities versus this other side that just lost power, right? That had their priorities and what they wanted to spend the money on. So I think the money's still going to be spent, maybe not as much, but I still think it's going to be a lot of spending. There's already talking about rebuilding of Gaza and sending a bunch of money to Israel, right? So we haven't seen a promise of complete stoppage of the spending. So I think it's going to be still a lot of waste going on, still a lot of money leaving the country for for international projects and things like that. So there's two sides, right? There's a side that says this has to be done. We had to change things. There had to be something that changed at some point. Otherwise, it was going to be hyperinflation, and that would have been even worse. All right, that's one side. And I kind of lean towards that side a little bit, right? Not political, not left or right, but just what needs to be done, what needs to be done economically, right? Not politically, economically. And either side politically could have came in and did this. So the people are asking, which people or which party or person is either one, brave enough to do this, or dumb enough to do this. Because if you do something like this, all these drastic changes, all these cuts, all these looking into the spending and mass firings, cutting agencies, all this stuff, if it explodes or blows up in your face, so to speak, they're going to be the one paying the price and getting the blame, right? So I'm excited at the same time as cautious, right? People often call me bearish, doom and gloomish. No, I'm just stating the obvious. Something has to change. We can't just keep throwing fuel on the fire, helicopter money. I'm starting to repeat myself. So let's go ahead and get into the latest news here, folks. Now, we've got news out there like this, and to many this is not news because we've been hearing this for a long time now, that it's time to start drilling and drilling more and drilling more for oil here in the U.S. And as most of you know, the U.S. at one point, just in the past few years, was the world's largest oil producer. So again, you have two sides. You have some people saying, this is bad, this is more pollution, this is more oil spills, we need to go back to clean energy, or not go back, we need to push more for clean energy. And then you have the whole debate with electric vehicles versus gas vehicles, which one's cleaner. Again, the debate's on both sides, right? Opinions on both sides, but they're saying drill, 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 and hopefully bring gas prices down is what they're saying. That could help the popularity of the person in power, the party in power, the current administration. But what are the negative consequences and what are the positives? Will it bring a lot more jobs back into the oil industry? Yes, it will. If we drill a lot more, if we produce a lot more oil, obviously. Will it bring prices down? Absolutely. But are lower prices on gasoline a good thing? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it encourages people to go out and just drive more and take more vacations and just cause more pollution, right? I'm just telling you both sides, right? I'm not telling you which side I think is right or wrong. Sometimes it's a combination. I agree with this, but not that, not this. It's not as simple as just saying, okay, this side's right, that side's right. That's why this whole left-right thing for years I've said was a big scam to keep people divided. Sometimes I agree with that side. Sometimes I agree with this side. Now, it's been more one side lately than the other, a lot more. But we'll see how this all plays out here. But more oil jobs coming back, lower gas prices, oil prices. But that comes with more problems too, right? Hopefully not more big oil spills, things like that. So how did everybody like the Super Bowl? Just to kind of change topics for a minute here. I was happy that the Eagles won. I don't like seeing the same team win over and over. I was against the Patriots when they started winning, seems like every other Super Bowl a few years ago. So it was very interesting. And the amount of money that was wagered on this Super Bowl blew my mind. Let's just look at some of the financial numbers into the Super Bowl real quick here. First of all, and this is Study Finds reporting this, it shattered records, the most watched sporting event ever, not just of Super Bowls, but any sporting event, right? It was massive. And it was interesting because we had the girlfriend of the wide receiver, or the tight end rather. He's a receiver, but tight end for the Chiefs, and Taylor Swift. And she got booed by a lot of the people there because her affiliation with the Chiefs. And it looks like she wasn't too happy about that. But that was one of the interesting things. But as far as the spending and the amount of money wagered on this game, the amount wagered or bet on this game was $1.39 billion. $1.39 billion. I've never been a sports bettor. I know people that have sportsbook and they do the online thing, and sometimes they'll go to Vegas and they'll do the picks where you can go to certain casinos and pick the teams. I actually did that before, and I picked even before the season started, I picked the Super Bowl winner and won a little bit of money. It was almost $2,000 because the odds were so slim at the beginning of the year before the season started to pick the actual winner. I think it was in 2009 when the Steelers won the Super Bowl. I just happened to have been a Steelers fan. I just bought a ticket, said, yeah, they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I think they won it that year under Ben Roethlisberger. But $1.39 billion, driven by two factors: the growing number of states that allow legal sports betting. Remember, we talked about that here in this channel. They've opened up a lot of sports betting. It can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. People can get addicted to that stuff very, very quickly. And one thing that I found out just by going to some casinos here in San Diego, when I first moved to San Diego, I used to go to these like Viejas Casino. What's the other one? Can't think of the name of it right now. But anyways, I used to play some blackjack and also some poker. And what I found out was when you win at the beginning, and I'm sure a lot of you will agree with this, walk away and take your money. But when you feel like you're being lucky and you're winning, you want to keep playing. And that's the problem. If you keep playing, you're ultimately probably going to lose that money, because those casinos didn't get built by people becoming millionaires winning money at the casino. The casinos are built and maintained by people losing money at the casino. You've heard the house always wins. But I used to go in, if I won, I would keep going and ultimately get back to zero. But I noticed if I lost at the beginning, I would then want to win my money back. Instead of quitting, like, okay, I already lost $100, I should quit. I need to win my money back, My significant other is going to be mad at me that I spent this money. And that's back when I was single, but some people have that mentality. I want to win it back. Then you get further in the hole. Then you start making bigger bets. Okay, I'm going to double up on this one. I'm going to double up, try to win it all back. That's dangerous, folks. That's what drives people into gambling addiction and even bankruptcy a lot of times. But you never hear about people making $1 million. When was the last time you heard about a millionaire gambling? Unless it's some fantasy like a Rain Man movie or something like that, counting cards. You don't often hear about so-and-so became a millionaire gambling. They won blackjack so much that they retired. But you do hear a lot about this person lost their life savings gambling. This person is in severe debt, and they're getting a divorce because of they gambled so much. You do hear a lot of stories like that. So the house always wins. But back to my point here, this was one of the biggest betted Super Bowl ever, $1.39 billion. The legalization now and allowing more states to do the online betting. Let's see what else they talked about here. It's permitted now in 39 states, the sportsbook and online betting. Also, they're saying that losing a bet with the wrong person or agency or entity can bring back big problems. If you lose the bet and they come after you, they can come after you legally. It's like contractual type of thing that you enter into with a lot of the sports betting type of stuff. Most of the time, you're already putting your money out there, so they're not going to have to try to collect from you unless there's some weird sports betting stuff that I've never heard of. And if there is, please let me know down in the comments. I have limited knowledge on this, but I am interested in this, and I've had a little bit of casino experience to kind of tell you, I think, what's going on here. Also, another thing that they're saying here is people now trust the betting systems a lot more now because it's online, it's regulated. It's not, you're giving money to some Joe at some casino somewhere, and hopefully that they're going to pay up. So I'm still kind of sketchy about it, but it's a big thing. It's a big $1.39 billion is not a small amount for one game. All right, let's transition a little bit here to some of the big changes that are happening now. right now here. Here's how the Times put it. Federal financial watchdog ordered to cease activity. Now, some people may see that and say, wow, that's deregulation. That's very dangerous to have a, quote, financial watchdog cease activity, because that's going to cause more, and some people are saying this, that's going to cause more problems, because the less oversight, the more bad practices will happen. Other people say it's the actual watchdogs that need to be watched. Like, who's watching the watchdogs, right? In an email to staff of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the agency's acting director ordered workers to cease all supervision and examination activity. So we're going to see how this plays out. There's so much of this type of stuff happening right now. Cuts and audits, and a lot of questions being raised right now. A lot of people are very upset about the way this money is being spent, saying, and rightfully so, saying that a lot of money went overseas to different countries, when here in the U.S., there's so many people that needed help, that need the money. Obviously, we see the homeless problem. We see the victims of natural disasters not getting back on their feet at all, because everything's moving so slowly. And in some cases, they're just not getting the money that they'll never get back on their feet. So it's pretty sad. And, I kind of see the side that says, hey, all these entities need to be investigated. They need to be looked at. You're investigated. I'm looked at, right? Everything that we make, everything that we earn and pay for, we have to pay on it. We have to file it with Uncle Sam, right? It's that time of year where we're waiting for our tax returns. We get looked at. We're under a microscope. We're under a magnifying glass. So why not the entities that spend billions and billions of dollars? So there's questions out there now why people are against it, why people are against somebody looking into these entities. Well, what they're doing now is they're saying, well, the people that are looking into it, they're bad. That they don't know what they're doing, and that they have bad intentions, right? So it's all this finger pointing from left to right, left to right. I'll let you decide who you think's correct or incorrect, or more right or less right. But, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I just want you to be ready and be prepared for things to get a lot crazier. And could this lead to some sort of implosion? Absolutely. If we see that something is unveiled that shocks the world, that something maybe you or even I can't even comprehend, it was so bad, then that could cause a lot of panic and bring the markets down, right? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it sure, to me, it looks like the risks are pretty high right now for that type of thing. Right, a little bit of a lighter topic, but maybe not so light if you're paying a lot of money for food right now with the surcharges at Waffle House and what's the other one? I think IHOP egg surcharge, 50 cents per egg, I believe. More thefts here. 500 plus eggs whisked away in Seattle breakfast heist. Police scramble to crack case. How'd you like that? Crack case, get it? With the eggs. But before there were 10,000 eggs stolen, right? So with the prices going up in these things, there's going to be a lot more theft. And I think a lot of people are starting to realize what's going on just in general, because they see all these massive changes. The likely ending of a lot of these agencies, the audits could lead to some things that are going to get a lot of people fired. And 7-month low now, consumer sentiment, with what's happening right now. So if you're concerned right now or just cautious, you're not alone. So I encourage everybody to be careful. Things could be going crazy. But then again, I saw a lot of new development in Riverside where I was at. We're staying at a relative's house. We stayed over this past few days, stayed at a relative's house in Riverside, California, which is about, I think, 50 miles from LA. And then drove to LA to visit the relative that was in the hospital. But in the area of Riverside that I was at, Harupa area is what they call it, whole new shopping plaza opened up with tons of stores. You got Burlington Coat Factory, Aldi grocery store, Five Below, a lot of restaurants like Chipotle and others. And you still see places opening up. So people still have money to spend, even though it's tight for a lot of people. We still see entire shopping malls opening up. An outdoor mall, not really a mall, but outdoor shopping center with like 20 stores. New Target opened up there. So it's interesting. A combination of growth and problems amongst the consumer. But here's the thing. The growth is based on spending, and how much more debt is out there for people to run up with debt levels already at all-time highs, right? So these things take a long time to play out, folks. I'm not saying anything's going to happen tomorrow. Still looking for ways to make money, still investing, and just keeping an eye on everything. So I hope you guys like the support. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your continuous support. And everybody, keep stacking. We'll talk to you very soon. Bye for now. Peace.